map picks or Rise, they're going to be able to pick what side they start. It's going to be defense. We just saw a consulate. We're going to go see it again. I'm going to know another Capitao ban as well.
Yeah, that kind of par for the course, really, for this kind of map. I'm curious how they double down, and obviously, you know, it was a back and forth game, I think it's fair to say, as we just saw, obviously, Rogue and Sonics pull out the 7-5, and everyone's kind of got expectations here for Luminosity to do pretty well against Rise, but again, you know, Rise was so bitterly close to making their position in playoffs. They were in a position as well where we've just seen two CL teams take the PL positions, so maybe this could be over the period of 2 days, the third CL team to make a PL team bleed. I guess it depends how we count the previous match. If that was two CL teams going up against each other, but Jackal is going to be the one, and that really frees up a lot of potential roam here.
The Maestro ban's quite interesting coming out here from Luminosity. It's going to be Rise Nation, who are left with the final ban here. I would probably guess an Echo just because Mirror isn't that useful here on Consulate, but Rise seem to be thinking about this one for a bit. There's a lot of options here, like a Pulse would be a good ban as well here for Rise, maybe like a Valkyrie as well would be a good ban as well, but no, it's going to be an Echo, so there goes all that theorizing out the window. So Maestro and Echo both off the board. It's kind of rare to see. Maybe we'll see some extended Mirror usage coming out from Rise here. As we'll see Renova 1 getting underway, it's going to be Rise Nation who start out on the defense, of course, because this is Luminosity's map pick.
Yeah, and obviously we'll see them head upstairs for the first time actually to console. They're going to try and lock it down. With both hard destruction on the board, it does mean that you have the ability to bring the Hibana here, and I think they're going to potentially bait that, because usually if you're attacking this and you have either on, you'll take your Hibana upstairs to crack open the kind of projector side and projector corner wall, and the Thermite you'll run downstairs to open the big spaces against the garage side. It's often a one or the other. You're never really in a situation where you need both. Sometimes you're in a situation where you don't even really need either. So potentially they're trying to bait down to that ground floor as the first pick. Thermite's not the worst pick in the world, don't get me wrong, but usually Hibana's more commonly seen.
I know that this is kind of an obvious thing to say for everyone who's ever watched Luminosity, but Rexon is our big man to look out for here. We just saw Neptunes go huge on Sonics. I'm expecting Rexon to do very much the same here. After the first half, I think he was one of the highest fraggers in NA. I think he had some of the best KDs after the first half of Pro League this season. So we're definitely all eyes on Rexon right now, as we'll move into Rise's first defense. Also, maybe if someone, you guys haven't been following Challenge really that much, Adam has found his way into this lineup for Rise very recently, so kind of like making a bit of a return for himself. And we'll see Luminosity on what they're going to be doing on this as well. If you haven't been paying attention to Luminosity's recent roster change, they dropped Pixel and they picked up Factor.
Well, let's see how that comes together. Setting themselves up with the...
I was just going to quickly mention that there's also a bit of a storyline here, because Factor used to play for Rise during the Allied Minor.
Oh, okay.
Which he went plus 26, I think, during the Allied Minor for Rise.
Wow.
So,
well,
yeah.
Let's see if he can do the same against them. Yeah, setting themselves up for the long angle holds there with the short wall and being able to keep themselves aggressive, I think, is what we've generally seen NA utilize those for. Really sharp movements to kind of keep a lot of the map hot. IQ instantly finding their way forward to, well, some information with the Nomad charge halfway up the wall to try and catch someone that might potentially drop down. Well, now in this moment in time, they're just pinging all the information and putting immediate pressure on the windows with the cover from the side, but with the movement coming out here from the combination of the Valkyrie and the Mozzie and all the portable information they have, a very easy and quick pick up there as Thomas gets caught completely unaware by Adam.
Absolutely beautiful wallbang coming out from Adam there, as he will secure the first kill of the round and the first kill of the series as well, but quickly will get traded out, of course, by Hyena up onto that console rappel. Acid will go down, and now we turn it into a 4v4 situation, but there goes the Valkyrie downstairs. That's the Nitro off the board. Great kill from Doodle up onto benches, and this is looking like all for Luminosity right now to do. We still have Adam below. He doesn't have a Nitro remaining anymore, but he will pick up another kill. That's Rexon off the board. Hopefully this will be traded for Luminosity sooner rather than later, but Adam still in commanding position. As I said, doesn't have that Nitro, but does have that super shorty to threaten the plan.
Well, there's one traded back the other way as Doodle suffers, and now it's going for a bit of a swing round, but with very little health on the side of Factor and the Diffuser Cold inside. They've got a lot of work left to do as a pairing. In the meantime, well, with Adam being as movable as he so seems to be, there's still so much damage he can do, and he's just going to try and hold the Diffuser close. The smoke is going to be the big cause of problems here for Factor, who will almost instantly go down in and amongst just one of those canisters, and with 2 left in the pocket of Vandal, well, he's just able to hold out and bait for time. In the meantime, they've doubled up and tried to take control of the admin and lobby stairs side, but they've got to do something fast, because that diffuser is still hot property, and they at least find Adam and get themselves back in the 2-2, but with Hyena now suffering from a little bit of damage as well, they're going to have to double up, and they're going to have to do it fast.
Hyena could be slowly crawling his way through onto Long Death. He's going to get pinged out by the default cam, however, and Beastly is going to take him off the board with his second kill of the round. So on to Factor to try and make it happen. The default cam still up, however, and Beastly finds the 3K as Rise Nation will take their first round pretty convincingly.
Yeah, that was very well put together for them. They're able to kind of, obviously the amount of damage and carnage that was caused downstairs just really slowed what could be done by Luminosity, because not only did they obviously lose the bodies, but the diffuser was in the middle of no man's land. And they knew they still had to do work upstairs, and with only 40 seconds left, you know, it's a bit of a tough situation to be in.
Yeah, very tough situation to be in indeed. As we push through into round number 2, it's going to be a lobby and press room defense coming out from Rise, and we'll see the double French move up from here, as well as a mirror pick, but potentially a 6-pick coming through here as well from Beastly onto the Pulse. I definitely agree with that. Picking the mirror here kind of like says to me, okay, it's going to be a downstairs.
Yeah, and the thing about Pulse is he's such a good operator on this map. As we've commented before many times, is he has the ability to sit underneath one of those walls and get the entire tire push from an entire side. It's big flat surfaces on the dead east and dead west, and with all the information from repels and all the information possibility of just being able to run out and cause carnage, especially as we've already kind of seen Adam wanting to veer into that a little bit. You know, you put him on the bottom floor and let Beastly just feed that information to the people who can maneuver around it, it could be absolutely monumental.
Absolutely monumental indeed. We'll have a look how things continue to go down as we'll move into round number 2 and have a look what Rise want to do here, but the strategy should be somewhat obvious, especially with the Pulse in the lineup here. And again, like we just saw Conchula, we should be very familiar with how this kind of thing does go down. You hold on quite heavily to the upstairs, quite heavily into that vertical play coming through, and that's why we do see the soft destruction as well coming out from the smoke shotgun of England.
Well, looking for anything that might pop around, but no luck so far. And in the meantime, Beastly is free to keep maneuvering and try and find where the initial push is coming from. In the meantime, there's always the worry about those doors inside, and you can see that Rexon and Thomas have doubled down on the little bit of a semblance of control. Now, previously, we've seen a Nomad on this map, and previously we've not seen it have too much luck. So I guess let's hope that the wind swings in Thomas's favor, and they're able to at least catch a couple of the aggressive moments of Rise as they set themselves up for primarily an eastern side push, with Hyena doubling down some cover on the lobby windows.
We'll definitely have a look at how that push is going to continue to go down. The admin side take is coming through. It's going to be Rexon leading the charge here on the gridlock to see what he can do. But they've already got control of admin. This is pretty quick movement coming out from Luminosity, but they're going to have to start to affect this upstairs hold coming out from Rise.
Oh, there's the Pulse deep, and he suffers some damage. Well, no, he doesn't suffer any damage. None of it really goes through, but they'll know he's down there, and they'll know he's causing some information. There's the ping from Factor saying, well, there's a body, so be aware. And now it's a matter of seeing if they can still somehow make something work, because with a minute 30 on, and some of this top floor control under theirs, they've still got a lot more left to take over, and the potential for people to rotate round and run against them is always a big threat. England lucky to rotate a little bit on the timing there and doesn't get caught out by the man that was just swinging his way in, but at the same time, if he was paying attention to the swing, might have been able to find a body. In the meantime, they're going to see if they can catch anybody who goes a little bit loose and a little bit wide on this front door, but Thermite so far hasn't taken the bait, is waiting for the rest of the team to make their move.
Yeah, a lot of work being done by Luminosity so far, but they haven't managed to find any picks up on the board, but neither has Rise either. This utility is going to start to bear down on them if they're not too careful about it. Luminosity is starting to make the work happen as they start to push into Projector as well. We've got Beasley down below. He's taking a little bit of damage as well from a Factor. And still be pulsing it out. He's going to be giving off that info. Doodle's actually going to go for a plant right now. He's actually in the site. Nitro is going to go out from Beasley. Not going to hit the mark, however, as Doodle's successfully going to plant. And it's all to do for Rise right now as they turn into the attack. As they go for this retake, it's going to be very, very difficult as Thomas takes down Adam. And the Gridlocks are down into the hallway. Factor takes down one of his own, but England does manage to frag back. But this is looking horrible for Rise to try and make something happen right now as Rexon holding onto the upside down rappel. Doodle's waiting for any kind of jump out, but Rexon takes Vandal off the board on Anti-Jaber. Acid is going to go for the run out here. It looks like he does find one, but instantly gets traded out, and it's all to do. But no, it was England with a TK. He finds one, but no. Luminosity will find the round as Factor takes down England. And that's a really good clear from Luminosity, honestly, and a really good execute from them. But it kind of felt like Rise were expecting this admin side push, and they had no eyes on sight.
Yeah, I think one of the good things that we saw there from Luminosity was just the shepherding of players away from the point, away from the lobby, and being able to take just that little bubble of control and to throw down a plant with 10 people still up on the board. You know, it's one of those kind of gambles where we've got to hope that they are where we think they are and they can see what we think they can see, and that we can see them in case things start to happen, because nobody was dropped until the plant was down. You know, and it's very, very well played and well trusted to get that kind of bubble in, but it's also one of those moments where, again, you've got to have a lot of kind of faith that what we know is the right information at this point.
I mean, all the faith is on Doodle there, right? Because you're staring at the floor for 7 seconds, praying that you don't get nitroed, you don't get pushed, you don't get shut down, and you have a lot of confidence in your teammates to be able to protect you doing that. It takes a lot of trust and teamwork to be able to do a plant like that. So well done to Luminosity for taking their first round on the board. But one round does not make the map, does not make the series. Let's see how things continue to go down as Rise are going to go downstairs. I also just want to quickly mention, because we don't go over rosters in OGA right now, during like graphics, the coaches as well from each team, Virus from Luminosity and Remorse from Rise, who definitely do a lot of respective works for their teams. And if you can see any Counter-Strike coming up from either team, you can be sure that the coaches are responsible for a lot of that work.
Shout out to coaches. All you coaches out there, Stern loves you. I love you. A lot of people love you, but you might get sassed a lot on Twitter.
Yep.
Setting themselves up for a cafe hold now, taking down all the way to the basement. They've obviously got the Bandit in an attempt to try and hold on and stop anything that the Thermite does aggressively against this. But, you know, what we've seen and what is most commonly known is you've got to keep Piano. You've got to keep that vertical control. You've got to keep, well, your Bandit safe. And we've seen them just batched in a couple of different ways. One of them being just swing around yellow with a quick push and drop the body, and the other being, well, let's take it slow and steady and get control from the top. There is the quick and aggressive approach as they've already got the wall open. The Nomads and the Gridlocks are going over the top, but Doodle finds Adam in the meantime. However, they have found their way in through yellow. There is a C4 that finds 2 bodies, and Doodle at least finds the trade, and there's another one. Thermite suffers in the meantime. Suddenly a 1 versus 3 as Acid picks up another body, and Sledge comes in around the back stairs and finds one, but only downs him. With the other body still above, and well, it's a 1 versus 2 and 2 minutes on the board. Factor does dispatch a Vandal, but Acid and England have both suffered health. They will be well aware of where this body is in this meantime, and they're going to try and hold on from the reverse side. The frag grenade cooked over the top, but whether the ADS is dispatched or not, I guess we'll not find out. He does manage to put a little bit of damage, but not enough, and in the meantime, they've crept around the other side, and there it is. Rise Nation pull themselves back round against a very swift push.
A devastating Nitro cell coming out there from Rise to be able to shut down the whole push coming out from Luminosity, and a great kind of early rush strategy to come out from them, but they just couldn't move fast enough to shut down that Nitro play. And I think like if that Nitro hadn't happened, they probably would have taken the round, because that was actually pretty well executed by Luminosity. They had Nomad charges going very, very deep as everyone else is pushing up. Gridlocks are going down to the back of White, making sure they can't play there. And it was very, very fast from Luminosity, but that Nitro completely shuts it down. That is the very issue of doing a very spaced up rush like that. You got to be aware of your spacing. So we're going to get to round number 4. Things looking pretty good for Rise Nation here. Luminosity tried something, it didn't work. I'm going to see how it goes down as we move to a console office and meeting room defense coming out from Rise yet again. Last time, this was pretty bad from Luminosity.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of way that things started to fall apart was very quick and aggressive, and obviously we were, you know, in this kind of only 2 standing situation with at least a minute 30 on the board. And when you're in that moment and you don't have the diffuser, you've got to kind of look at it and go, well, what went wrong and how can we change that for the second time round? In the meantime, Rise have opted for a slightly different strategy. They've taken off the Mozzie, and Adam's potentially going to play in the basement now and feed and filter the information up to the top because, as I said, Luminosity are probably expecting a bit more of an aggressive hold in that mid-floor, and it's going to allow, I guess, Adam, if he needs to drop down and still be as potentially useful as a Mozzie can be in holding that central floor. At the same time, I guess it's down to, as I said, Luminosity. They've got to find the response here. They still have the double flank and roam control on the sides of Nomad and Gridlock, but it's utilizing them that becomes the tough bit.
Yeah, Adam going to go for his prone spawn peek here, but yeah, he's not going to get found out there. Factor shuts him down instantly, and that's already the Nitro off the board. That was a very brave spawn peek coming out from Adam, and it will be dealt with very, very swiftly. Interesting to see Factor on the Gridlock now, rather than Rexen, and Rexen back on his role as the Book. So we'll have a look how that's going to be going down as well, as Rexen going to be moving all the way through and just doing all of his stuff here as well, just to open up all of the books. Luminosity begin their normal attack, and I think honestly with Adam off the board, this is looking way better for Luminosity. Not because that Rise don't have that info on the board anymore, they don't have the threat of that Nitro, but also Adam was a big key player last time that Luminosity went through attack it.
Yeah, it's always the big thing there, was he was integral in the aggression that he was bringing in that central floor, and the bodies that he could take out without really being challenged would, well, impressive is just a light word for how it came together. They're getting aggressive on these doors, though, as England starts to try and dig his way towards Hyena, who will be, well, I guess aware that he's being watched, and it's almost like a come fight me moment as he gestures with bullets towards the body himself. Rexen, in the meantime, is steadily clearing across the top floor, and he's getting some open against the admin side, and they're making sure that, well, they can see something. In the meantime, Nomads are going long distance, and it looks like they're going to try and sneak a plant.
It does look like that right now. They do have smokes up on the board, of course, and they have the Nomads that should be able to shut down many kind of responses coming out. England, of course, is still threatening with the Nitro from below, however. We still have smokes up on the board from Vandal, sorry, as England looks for some kind of run out here. Goes for the spawn peaks, goes to the peak, sorry, as Rexen goes for the deep nade. Vandal does go down, however, that is smokes off the board. It's all down to England in terms of plant denial, but Ryan's going to have to get aggressive with this if they want to keep control of their site. England still threatening with the C4 from below. He's going to throw it out, but goes down before he can detonate it. Hyena finding that kill for free. It's all down to Beastly in a 1v5 to try and bring this in. It's a post-plant situation right now. This is not looking good for Beastly to try and bring it in. Tries to open up a little bit, does get that great kill into Hyena, but instantly gets shredded out by Doodle.
I mean, it was well kind of put together, their Luminosity, and I think that's the good thing that we're seeing from them, is they're responding, they're bringing themselves back better into the fight, and you know, for when things go wrong, they can at least respond and try and get the diffuser down, which we've seen been the victim of a lot of other teams, is the ability to actually execute when push comes to shove. In the meantime, we're seeing some clever stuff from Ryzen that they're trying new stuff as well on the defense. Obviously, Adams lying down spawn peak didn't quite work as we've seen his play previously, but you know, those are the kind of things where you can try and you can pull it off and then you can try again. And in that situation, sometimes it's better to attempt a new strategy than rest on your laurels, because it's one of those tricks where if you know you're against a team that can do good responses, try and think of a new question.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I had to think about that for a few seconds, but yeah, well, things are looking really good for Luminosity here. I mean, they've already found their 2 attacks that we kind of do talk about, that you do need to find those. And I think there was good adaptation, like the admin take with the instant opening pick onto the pulse, I think completely won that. I think Adam went for a very high risk, high reward kind of thing, and it just did not pay off for him whatsoever. Rise going to recognize that console take. Clearly, they're going to have to rework that a little bit before they go back there, but meanwhile, while they think about that one, they're going to go down to a lobby and press room defense instead. This last time was such a weird attack, because Luminosity just walked into sight and just planted straight away.
Yeah, and you know, as you said, when you see a plant go down with every single player still on the board, it raises some serious questions of the defense. Because in that point, the attack's been brilliant. You can always assume they've been brilliant. Yes, there's surely the 1% that's been just outrageously lucky, but you would normally assume that they've done their droning, they've done their shepherding, they've done their pushing, they've cleared themselves a position on point to get the plant down. And they've done it in the way where the defenders are either A, unsure, or B, unable to safely get the response. So I guess we'll see if, obviously, Rise can think of a better strategy for their second swing round at this point. In the meantime, a quick clear is coming from underneath as Rexon gets droned ahead aggressively, but doesn't go all the way, so can't quite find the man that's currently lying in the back of Archives.
Yeah, drone's going very, very deep indeed, it would seem, as Beastly still playing around in the servers and see what he can do here. This is a perfect place for a cardiac sensor. And it's a perfect place to get kills like that. It does get traded out instantly, however, that is a beautiful pick coming out early on from Beastly. That's the Thatcher down, but also one coming out here as well onto Rexon.
Yeah, and then they were able to pick up the trade there as well. Adam was not too far away and able to find from behind, and Thomas gets Vandal, brings it back to a 3-3 situation. Adam, in the meantime, has found his way back to the top floor and is, well, potentially looking for a run out in this moment in time as Factor actually creeps up and is potentially going to try and take advantage of this. Maybe doesn't know he's there, but he does. Both are aware and both are aggressive, and Adam comes out a little bit more shaken as Factor is able to rotate round the back. Is curious where the next movement's going to come, but there's going to be some doubling down from Thomas on this upside down rappel to allow themselves to pincer out the Rook.
Drone's looking to come out from the other side, but it's going to be Acid who scores that kill onto Thomas as well, with a nice run out, and there we go. There goes, oh, Adam goes down, as Factor picks him up as well. He does have that top floor control, but no, with the prone peak, is going to expose his feetsies and gets taken down. It's all down to Doodle in a 1v2 to try and bring this in. Acid is injured, technical 1v1 right now for Doodle, but will he know this? No, Acid will get picked up. So now a 1v2 right now. He does have this upstairs control, however, as smokes are going to go out. I wonder if they do know where he's at. The smoke has gone out onto that doorway as well, onto the hatch, sorry. As drones are going out, but the default cam saw the drone go down yellow, so this should be an easy cleanup from Rise. It's all down to Doodle.
With 40 seconds on the board, he's got time. He's got the diffuser, and he's still got 3 stun grenades and 2 exothermic charges. The ladder has very particular uses on this point, especially when you're in a 2 versus 1 situation where they can kind of double up and apply some immediate pressure against you. It's going to open up a bit of a distraction here and potentially blow it as he pushes from inside the point and try and do a bait and switch, but it depends how many smoke canisters are still in the pocket of England and what he can actually make do with them. Tries to bait a push and a collapse from the opposite side as he finds his way into Piano. With 15 seconds, though, he's got to either put a body in the ground or try and stick a plant. And well, yet again, the ladder is often the braver. The 2 Rise players collapse either side, but it only takes 1 to be able to bring themselves back into the lead.
This is looking a bit iffy now for Luminosity, having lost that opening engagement. This is kind of weird. I think also with the thermite charge there, like you are right, like he was trying to do that kind of distraction, but I think also the other element of that is that it's very easy to shoot those thermite charges, and I guess that he was kind of wondering if there was anyone in Piano, maybe didn't have any intel, but you know normally a player, if that thermite charge is getting opened up like that, they'll just shoot at it and then he can peek and kill them off the board, but unfortunately it didn't work out too well for him, and we'll see how things are going to be going down as we move into Luminosity's final attack here. We'll see Factor going to be bringing the sledge along, so we got 2 sets of nades up on the board for Luminosity.
Well, let's see if they can make use of them or if the Jaeger can eat them all up. Sledge is going to add a little bit more pace, and they're going to try and double down on the self-destruction. I think they've realized so far that the gridlock hasn't really been giving them the control that they've wanted, so potentially going to get, well, I was about to say a little more aggressive. Let me asterisk that. A little more aggressive than their standard pushes, but not as aggressive as their previous push on this point, which you can't really get more aggressive than that, I think.
One of the interesting points now about how this map might play out is that this was Luminosity's map pick, so Rise gets to pick sides at the start, but Luminosity gets to pick OT sides, and honestly I'm starting to think now that with the way that series decided to play out, that the OT starting side is way more important than the normal starting side. Luminosity are actually in the clear here to actually take the series because they, all they need to do is just play keep up with Rise, right? Like, and they can bring this into OT if they can win their 4 defenses, which seems pretty doable for Luminosity here. They're definitely not in a bad place, but if they can win this round, they put themselves in a really good position. Rise are the ones who, moving onto that attack, really need to put themselves on the board.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I guess it's always, you know, it's where do you kind of gamble? Where do you set your chips and how do you try to make use of them? We've obviously seen more best of 3s go the full distance in NA than any other region. It's been consistent back and forth in this region, and you know, it's how they've kind of been approaching the tournament, how they've been approaching each other, the knowledge that they have on each other's teams, with a lot of them having history playing together or against each other or whatever. But the consistency of us hitting the third map and hitting OTs in NA is crazy.
So, lots of Jones are going to be going out across the board here from Luminosity as they begin their take. Thomas is going to make his way up into the piano as well. We'll see exactly how this is going to be going down. Default cams are still up, of course, as Rise are very, very aware of what the situation is. This is their final defense. They need to put this round on the board if they want to have any kind of chance at bringing this series in. Jones still up on yellow for Luminosity here to see what they can do as they slowly begin their clear, as they've got piano control, and this is really all they need right now.
When people miss sledges, but
it's just a bait and switch, you know?
Yeah, it's just baying out the sledge movements. Well, they're getting aggressive control of this wall, and with piano, they're able to get in. Obviously, you know, at this point, we got to realize that the round was over previously, and Rexon ends Adams' round. Just as I say that, they know someone is lurking around the back stairs as well, and Rexon finds a second. That is Jaeger and Castle off the board, and it's going to make the control here a little bit touchier. Them through the wall. Acid gets dropped, and the screaming is what gives him away for Rexon to find a third, and suddenly we are in a 5-1 with Beastly having to come from the top floor, but it doesn't matter as Luminosity put themselves level pegging before the turn of the half.
Absolutely beautiful take coming out from Luminosity there as well, especially seeing the kind of setup that was coming out from Rise. So they castled out yellow door and they castled out bench's door, which means they're playing that really heavy roam game up on the top floor, so they can remain in the control of that, and they can stop LG from cutting off any of that rotates down spiral. So LG just see that and they go, okay, we'll just take piano then. We'll just have this, and yeah, we'll have it, and we'll just shut down the rotates as you come. Rise had no way of regaining control of a piano at all. They tried to do that like double rotate, like someone would go benches and impact it open, which is why they sent the rook there, and then they have the other guy come through into lobby. It was a little bit mistimed, and I'm not 100% if the rook did actually have impact still up. We're going to assume that he did. You going to say something?
Oh no, I like the gesture when I'm thinking of what to say.
Right.
And what I'm going to say is, this is a bait and switch. They're playing them. They're playing them for fools, Sternab, because they've obviously taken the bandit and they've said, well, they've kind of given the impression, well, we're going to go down to the basement. You're going to expect a basement here. Swapped the bandit over, originally to the Valkyrie, which I agreed with, because I think that gives you more the aggressive versatility you could bring as a surprise attack on this, but instead to the Jaeger, which again can kind of double down on that. With the mirror on the board as well, they're kind of doubling down on the bait and switch, and they're trying to hope that Rise's loadout isn't one that can really work on this lobby push.
While we're talking about the lobby push as well, I know Capitao is banned, and I know Remorse isn't playing, but he is coaching. When Remorse played on Disrupt in CL Season 8, there was a great thing that Remorse did here, where he Capitao'd into Antechamber, and like, you know, from the front door, but he was going to do it, but then his teammate went for the plant and it hit his teammate instead as he went for the crouch. So he killed his teammate and then he went to recover the diffuser and then he killed himself with the same Capital bolt. So
what a disaster. I've killed teammates with Capital bolts on this map.
Remorse will probably hate me for bringing that up, but I thought it's always a nice little tidbit of information.
It's nicer to have it on tape as well, so it's immortalized forever.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Still on my YouTube, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, there you go. Shout out. Well, they're setting themselves up with this vertical control, and let's see how well Rise can respond to the change of pace. Obviously, the lineup is still something that can cause some issues, as England's going to start smashing open the kind of connector and piano windows and see if they can find an angle inside. But with the mirror window, obviously, they have a little bit of width to the information and can double themselves down inside the bathroom, as well as the top floor control that they're opting to double rotate down onto. But with both mirror windows, it's generally a full sturdy hold, and they're trying to turn this into one big point where they can keep this center locked down. Thomas, so far, not pressured too much, and he's going to open up above the window to allow himself the ability to put some destruction there as the flashes start to roll in against Piano, but it would be a bit of a mistake to swing in just yet. They do find some bullets into the legs of Doc, but you know, he just stims himself back up, uses one of the pistols, and with a minute 40, we've got to start seeing them find their way a little bit more inside.
Kind of looks like mostly a piano side take coming out from Rise here, but the big issue with trying to do this is, of course, this heavy mirror setup coming out from Factor up into the bathroom. This is going to shut down this whole play entirely if Rise do intend to go for it. So far, they haven't been able to do too much work on it, but they're going to take one mirror window off the board. But no, there's an ADS there, and it is going to take it down. Grenades are going to go out, and it's going to basically make that mirror window useless.
Yeah, taking the top and the bottom is just as bad, but taking Thomas through the floor is worse. Adam with some great shooting there and great information drops the man in the spy hole, and that allows a freedom a little bit more, well, a little bit more freedom, in fact, if I don't to that sentence, and their ability to find their way inside point. In the meantime, Doodle is able to rotate background with the shotgun, can open some very big aggressive sight lines and allow themselves the ability to just smoke down as Adam finds a second, however. With 45 seconds, they've got to find more than bodies, though. They've got to start finding their way inside. Finally start to put some pressure on yellow stairs as the Doc looks for the long fight against the lobby door. In the meantime, Rexon is playing hot potato with the floor, and well, it's just a matter of seeing if they can do something to stop it. The fast and aggressive push gets stopped by Hyena, and he goes for the double, and he finds it. Adam and England are taken out of the equation, but Beastly finds Rexon on the back stairs. Now it's falling against this mirror window with Doodle still above in 22 seconds. He has so much in his smoke canisters, can't quite find the back of the Nomad, however, and it is just down to him. All 3 smoke canisters and everything left to do.
Smoking at the mirror window so he can drop down, but it's going to be an obvious play as Acid is going to pick up that kill for free, and Ryans will put themselves on the board with their very first attack. This is not looking good for Luminosity all of a sudden, with a bit of a weird play coming out there, a bit of a throw-off play, but Rise able to quickly adapt to it, and Adam with a beautiful couple of opening kills there as well.
Yeah, it really came down to those kills, because if they hadn't have got those when they had, and they had less time on that push, that would have been the Luminosity's round, for sure. Because they still had the bodies upstairs, and they had all of those smoke canisters too. Like, there was so much possibility for them. Yeah, until they got killed.
Yeah. That's true. We're moving into round number 8, however, this could be the second defense from Luminosity, and they've opted to go to console office and meeting, 6 picking the castle onto the Vigil instead. I'm not sure how I feel about, like I said earlier, I actually quite like a Vigil play here. I'm just not sure if roaming is that great on this particular site, I suppose. If you're going for like aggressive runouts, we saw a little bit of that from the previous series from Neb. Of course, he was having kind of like limited success with that. You can like impact your garage, you can do the run out there. You can impact the front door, you can run out there. You can impact Visa door or Visa window, and you can run out there. Bench's window as well. There's like 6 run out opportunities here for you if you're expecting a very heavy like repel side take. Of course, that's kind of have to be it from Rise. It's to be up to them if they want to do a console side take or if they want to do an admin side take. With the fact that they brought smokes in the lineup, I would guess a console side take, but really could be anything from them.
Well, there is Doodle finally able to get through, and Rexon's prepping himself for some aggression immediately against the window. In the meantime, Valkyrie's going to feed this back, and without an IQ, well, you're going to have to use your peepers to try and stop her peeping. And let's see if they can find that ability to shut it down. They're aware that there's going to be some window aggression, but there usually is on this map, so it's the ability to pick the right windows. Factor, in the meantime, is hanging not too far away, and as he said, is in a position and an operator that can get aggressive, can do these runouts and can do these impacts, and if you can find impact with it, I guess that's the balance of how much attention Rise are paying to those. Has the Nomad, has the ability to at least stop some, and with the gridlock, can usually that's more for control of the point and control of the internal stairs rather than anything close to external. You've got to more trust the Nomad, but it's very hard to lock down all of the space.
It is very, very hard indeed, and Nomads have gone down, of course. Adam, with that vertical repel as well, trying to shut down that connector rotate. So far, Rise have managed to gain quite a decent amount of control, and they've set up quite well for what they actually want to do here, but no frags on the board for either side just yet. Thomas taking a little bit of damage, but he's still got that kind of vertical control as well downstairs to be able to do what he can. Doodle getting a little bit lit up by Adam on the repel. Ash Chaz going down as well, almost taking him off the board, but no, smokes will go down, and Doodle will, no, not go down. It's going to be Rexon is the first one off the board.
Yet again, Adam on these windows is causing very big issues for the defenders that are trying to find some freedom. In the meantime, with that, Ash is able to just keep finding body after body. Is putting more pressure on the consulate window and gets the man as he goes for a little bit of a quick swing there on Doodle. And, well, Doodle's lucky to escape with his life and is able to keep his smokes for another day. In the meantime, with a minute on, yet again, Rise are in a position where they've got to start trying to make some movements with this. Because, as he said, time has been a killer, as we've seen in the previous game, in the hands of Rogue.
Yeah, smoke should start to go pretty deep here. It looks like Factor's getting ready for any kind of run out, but also to deny that yellow in repel. Thomas is below as well, but it's going to be Factor who does shut down one, but it's going to be instantly traded out onto the dock of Hyena. This is looking good for Rise. The smokes will start to go out. Rise, of course, have that control over the console windows. Thomas still below, however, still threatening with that nitro. Still be able to put stuff up on the board. This is looking a bit squiffy for both sides, but Doodle does score that kill onto Adam. That's definitely going to move things more into the favor of Luminosity, and now they know the diffuser is down in sight.
Factor finding his second for the round against Acid, and as you said, the knowledge of the diffuser plus the C4 the Valkyrie's got from underneath as she gets killed could have been the big swing in this, but very clever from Luminosity. Oh, very clever from Rise to shut down Luminosity. The swing there from Luminosity drops England, and with only 5 seconds left and a long distance to go between the second operator, doesn't matter, because the first you meet is going to kill you anyway. Luminosity, yet again, keep this back and forth game of badminton, well, very deadly.
Is a bit deadlier than badminton, I suppose.
I haven't played badminton in a while.
Right.
Were there guns involved previously?
I don't remember so, but we'll see if guns are going to be involved in this next round, as Factor is definitely put himself on the board. 11-4 already. Definitely threatening Neptune's record here so far. Consulate runouts. Things are looking good so far for Luminosity. It will, oh well, kind of par for the course, I would say.
I mean, being in the situation of 4-4, obviously we've already kind of mentioned NA's almost habitual system of getting to overtime and getting to these kind of 2-1 maps in the best of threes, and this is, I guess, the perfect example of this. The fact that nobody has taken more than one round in a row. Just repeatedly been finding ways through each other, and we've been repeatedly going through different points as well. They've never taken the same point twice so far. And, you know, it's kind of, I guess, the play styles, as I said, they know each other very well. They've done their prep, and we've already kind of talked about how big picking Villa was for Rise. And you kind of, they're looking in better form on this map than I think people might have expected.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think that Rise have definitely been playing a bit keep up, and Adam's definitely been doing really, really well for him so far, and for his team, of course. Factor, again, bringing me the Vigil. I definitely prefer a Vigil pick here than upstairs. I think here, the kind of like flanks and the rotates and holding onto the roam is a lot easier. I think the big danger on Consulate is not the early game roam, but the late game flanks.
Yeah, it's the thing about it is, as we said before, the pace that you can kind of collapse upon on this map, and the way the drop downs kind of sync up for a lot of teams, and how it can also, you know, if you think about, okay, when you're pushing this point, when you're pushing Cafe, you usually assume people are going to try and get control of Piano. And in the meantime, there's a drop down right above kind of Piano from the CEO office, where you can find a way inside and you can find a way down below people. You can use the open ground that they've already made. You have the option to move across the floor as well. And if need be, you've got another 2 drop downs across a very short floor. So there's so many other places you can take your way down from the top floor. Add to that, there's also 3 sets of stairs. My gosh, Romans, you are spoiled for choice.
Yeah, definitely. That's why it's so much easier to retake, of course, as England is going to make his way through into admin and see what he can do from this side. Lots of heavy drone coming out from Rise across the board to make sure that top floor is, of course, clear of those pesky roamers up on the board. But also the big advantage of bringing Vigil here as well is that you can sit at any point and you can activate your Vigil charge, whatever it's called again, and they don't know what floor you're at.
Yeah, it's one of the things where it's like, when you see creative uses of the kind of bubble of utility usage. You see it most commonly with Jackal going through multiple floors. He'll shotgun through a floor and find footprints beneath him. And, you know, I say that, okay, in terms of utility, that's one of the most common you see. But then, as you said, Vigil and the space you can play those. Mute, and to be fair, actually, you always see Mutes put up slightly higher, so they'll be able to stop the floor. And this is a great point for that. If you dig Mute jammers into a close corner, and obviously he's not being bought right now, this is more an example, but you can put them and completely shut down Yellow stairs from the doorway without having a Mute jammer anywhere really close.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. We do see a bit of Mute Mozzie combo definitely coming out here. But we don't see any of that coming out right now from Luminosity, as Hyena still, of course, threatening with that Nitro. But it's going to be Rexon who picks up the first kill of the round. And this is going to be huge rotate from Luminosity. They rotate all the way above. They got 3 people on this flank. Call it the Norengu as Adam shuts one down. A nade comes out and that shuts another one down. And Rise just completely eliminate the flank coming through. What a play from Luminosity, but it will get shut down very nicely by Luminosity, by Rise. Rexon, however, still up on this roam and still with that flank potential.
Did the grenade kill the man on the top floor? Or did we see just a kill at the same time?
I think it must have killed at the same time.
Yeah, because I was like, where has that come from? Has that popped up in the kill feed? Acid finds Doodle, puts it against Rexon versus the world. He's found his way back round to the point. He gets to the diffuser planner, and with 10 seconds left, that is actually huge. If he can keep control here on the gridlocks, no! Ash swings in at the most important time yet again. Adam bringing some impact here for Rise to, well, yet again, only put 1 round apiece.
That would have been an insane clutch from Rexon if he managed to put those frags up on the board. But round number 10 getting underway, and yeah, I feel like from Luminosity, that was a make or break play for them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bold attempt, and for the first time this map, we're going to see the same point twice in a row. They're going to head back to Cafe, and I'm curious if we see anything like that again, because, you know, we talked about the kind of rotation and the possibilities of that stuff and the collapse. Usually you don't see it as bold, loud, and aggressive as 3 people charging, though.
You definitely don't. Definitely do not. It's going to be a Cafeteria Garage defense once again coming out now from Luminosity, and hopefully a bit of a change-up in strategy coming out from them. They have brought the same lineup, however, I'm hoping they're kind of be more conscious about, yes, like the Nomad as well. I'm really surprised they would do a 3-man flank when there's a Nomad up on the board, because as soon as the air jab goes off, Rise immediately know it's going to be a heavy flank.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of... It's you know, it's one of those things about it, is when we've talked about Nomad and we've talked about her usage on this map, usually we then follow up with to cover outside peaks, and then you'll see Gridlock inside to offer some control. But you always remember that sometimes, you know, or particularly if you are kind of keeping control of certain points, you put her internally in how tight these doorways can be, how close the corridors can be, and how together people can be with all the debris that you can hide them in. You know, it can become such big, big pieces of control.
Yeah, no, it definitely can be. We'll see how things continue to go down. As we move into round number 10, things looking pretty good for Rise, I would say, right now. If you can find at least 1 more attack in the next couple of rounds, they can put themselves in a nice position. But as I said, Luminosity should have a good opening frags there. In fact, as a double kill comes out from him, England and Adam both off the board. Adam's been a huge entry fragger here for Rise, and him going down early, that's going to be hurt, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously Adam, as we've already said, has been a really big factor, but also their soft destruction and the consistent soft destruction has been taken off too. England, who has otherwise found kills with the frag grenades as well, they've lost the hammer from above, they've lost their quick and easy way in through piano, and, you know, Luminosity have looked, well, they look like they're in a very good stead to be able to take this round. There's 2 minutes on the board. Rise have a lot of time to factor in a secondary plan, and I guess we'll see if they can make it work against Factor, who has otherwise already had a really good round so far, if on a little bit of health. Vandal, in the meantime, is creeping around the back stairs and trying to find his way in and amongst the back of the defense as slyly as possible, but might not know that there's someone in server. Is going to ignore the default cam and try and creep through, and is just going to set a trap up as Acid, in the meantime, takes care of Thomas on the front door. The camera goes off. Whether they caught Vandal or not, I guess we'll find out in the ensuing firefight in just a moment, but he is in between a rock and a hard place, and both those things are armed.
Yeah, Vandal's actually going to know there's someone in Archives right now, as his jab will get shot out. and Acid desperately trying to make his way through onto yellow. This is not looking good for Rise to actually go for their execute right now, as Factor is still behind as well to try and do whatever he can do to try and outmaneuver Vandal on the Nomad, who's a mile away from this push right now. This is not good at all. Another air jab will get shot off the board, and another drone will be taken out by Factor as well. This is looking really, really good for Luminosity to try and shut this whole thing down. As Acid tries to make his way down onto yellow. Factor doesn't have any of those impacts remaining, so he can't make any new rotates for himself. ADSs will start to get burned, and Rise desperately need to start their execute now if they wanted to do anything to work. We've still got loads of utility on the board here from Luminosity as well, as smoke starts to go out.
Yeah, you look at the kind of nitros, you look at the smokes, you look at the ability to stop this plant if it does creep into the default position, and that's the kind of nightmare. And in the same time, the nightmare continues as your back cover gets taken off, and well, so does one of the bodies on the front. All down to the Thermite with the diffuser, but with 20 seconds left and Rexen just charging you, what else can you really do? Luminosity, 5-5.
He really went deep for that one, I guess.
Hey, you got to go deep sometimes. You got to try and find the kills. Find the man behind the car.
Luminosity in a really good position to start to take this back into their favor. They've got defense right now. Rise have won 2 attacks, but that may just be all the attacks that they do indeed win. As we move into round number 11, it is, of course, going to be that console office defense once more from Luminosity, and this was weird. I feel like Rise had so much control here last time.
Yeah, obviously it was, well, out of lobby and console, the one that they won. So you would assume they've got a little bit of faith here, and I guess it's up to see if, you know, Luminosity can kind of keep the same role that they had previously. And obviously, as you said, it was a lot of control, and it was kind of thrown to the wind, and Rise, I guess, seeing if they can find some semblance of holding on to that. They've obviously opted to change to KB and bring her into the mix and take care of the hard destruction, which I think is a smart move. Yeah, there's a position where you can blow a wall open, but at this point, I think they're going to try something a little bit more with the smoke grenades. Unless they've bought the frag grenades, actually. They could have tried to double down on that in terms of, you know, what they do with the utility of the gridlock. Yeah, because they tried a little bit of smoky stuff before, but it was very late.
I think, you know, smokes are definitely the quintessential way of trying to push this out, and Acid hopefully has brought this along. Double nade strategy couldn't be a bad thing here at all for Rise, and we saw that Doodle playing around the connector window was a big issue for Adam when he was on the Ash on connector window, trying to deal with all of that from the smoke. But if he kills the smoke there early on, that is a big important frag from Rise that may just win the round. There was also a big issue for Rise to try and clear this downstairs area, which of course is a big threat when there's nitros on the board from Thomas.
Well, trying to find their way inside at this point and get some idea of where the defenders are currently roaming around. In the meantime, well, Luminosity are happy to keep their point architecture up as they start to careen their way through the many walls and open up the many angles. Completely reinforced off the top of yellow stairs. Aren't going to want to roll around with that at all, and it can be a solid strategy, but it also means that obviously the side retake can be tough as well, because we've seen that win rounds. It's the ability to fire on through the wall and go for what is often the close and consistent default plant point without having immediate feet inside the room itself. At the same time, you know, it can often open you up to a bit of destruction, so maybe they're just trying to be a little bit more solid in what they're doing and doubling down on the fact that they've bought the castle. Ash is going to try and find the opening frags that Adam has been so consistent at doing so far on those windows, and, well, if he goes down, it could bring the whole ship with him again.
Adam really has been the defining part of the roster of Rise right now, and you are correct. He's been doing a great job at just exactly like playing windows as well. Like, he's been really, really good at that so far. We're going to see him trying to open up a bit of vertical play for himself here. He tried to put a little knock in that window as he will Ash out from below. Desperate to find someone and see what he can do here. He's going to try and move them out of this position, as nades are going to go out deep as well. But Doodle still being a pain in that position as well right now, as drones are going to go out as well to try and confirm exactly where he was. Adam should be able to find that frag from below, honestly.
Well, in the meantime, Beastly has used both frag grenades and hasn't really found anything out of them, unfortunately. Still obviously frees England to creep up the back stairs, and Doodle in the meantime drops Acid.
What?
big take on the window, and that is those smokes we talked about off. Vandal at least gets Rexon, and Thomas finds England to keep it battling back between the two teams, as Ash is still working on the body, but in the meantime, it's the patience of Beastly that pays off. The frag grenades don't work, but a gun sure does, and with 40 seconds on the board and a 3-2, Rise have got to try and double down and find their way through Luminosity. Vandal crept into lobby, and Beastly's under the window, so Castle, in fact, hasn't taken the fight. Has just opted to rotate out, going to head back to the top floor, and they're going to hold this more as a flat point and say, well, come push on us, because they know at this point Rise have to aggressively push towards a point, and with Beastly this far away with the diffuser, they only have an option but to try and rush it. And if they get caught on the swing and the diffuser goes cold over, well, that's the end of the round. They still haven't found their way any close towards pushing against this point, and with 5 seconds, they can't even make it if they full sprint. You wonder how that went down there in the comms.
What a play from Doodle. Just, he did so well there as well. He killed Acid as well, who wasn't playing on the windows, he was playing on the skylight. So Doodle pushed out a little bit, looked up behind him as well, and through that kind of opening hole as well into the skylight, he managed to pick that frag. That frag, and his ability to just play there for so long, you could see how much Rise were dedicating to try and push him out of that corner, and no matter what they did, they could not get Doodle out of there, and I think a lot of that round was really on Doodle, honestly, so really good job by him. That's going to push us to match point for Luminosity, and we're going to head to a lobby press room defense once more.
Well, that's the first time we've seen 2 rounds go in one way. And obviously it's right at the finishing line. So can they make it 3, do the unthinkable throughout this game, and find themselves taking this lobby? Which, to be fair, has gone once to the defenders and twice to the attackers across this entire game. But who knows what they might be able to change about how it went down last time. Obviously, the first time they bought it, it was a little bit of a bait and switch attempt. They swapped out and they bought a... You know, if you look at how their lineup was previously, they had a mirror on the board. They had the Jaeger, which was swapped from the other side, and this is hopefully more of what they intend for this hold.
I mean, this is kind of what they were doing last time, right? And they're gonna, I'm gonna assume they're gonna do the soft mirror again as well. I think this is an effective strategy, honestly, because it ends up being Rise who have to kind of utility dump to try and move this around. I like the inclusion of the Adam Twitch here, though, knowing that how much of a pain these mirror windows were.
Well, there's no mirror on the board. Mirror has taken a holiday. They're playing without it this time, so I guess it can still be part of taking control of potentially the Jaegers inside and those kind of side of things. But as I was saying, you know, with the Legion on the board as well, to try and stem the role of pushing up close, I think that's a really big operator for this point. Legion is an operator that you can say is big on, like, any point because of how useful and versatile it is, but you've got to look at the multiple ways of immediately getting in on this place and how just having that little bit of a stem of a role where, say someone enters on those big lobby doors, they're trying to be a bit quick and aggressive about it. They take a Legion mine. If they try and take it out, they're dead. If they try and fall back, they're often dead as well. Like, it's such a tight place to suffer a trap if you haven't got bodies and cover that you need.
It definitely has been. Definitely like the new setup coming out from Luminosity here. Very, very top heavy coming out from them. As well as Doodle making a lot of these shotgun holes a lot earlier than he did them last time as well. But don't forget, Adam picked up a number of kills through this vertical plane. He was able to do a lot of damage to Luminosity's lineup. But as we say that, Factor is the one who finds the first kill of the round onto Beastly. Nice run out coming out from him. That's already the DKB off the board. But oh, the wide peak coming out from the dock of Hyena once again going down from such a long angle. Thomas should be able to refrag this though.
Well, he's instead going to rotate out. Whether he meant to, whether he fell, I guess be down to him, but we'll see if he can make a secret agent move as he rotates round underneath. Obviously with the frag grenades taken out from DKB, that's quite a nice removal, but Adam is just going to swing in. The drones are feeding his information. He looks for the body but can't quite find it, but has found his way right into the heart of this hold. If they can find the diffuser over this cover as well, they are completely alone in this point. Yes, there's 2 bodies above. They're being watched from the drop down, but in the meantime, no one's on the lobby side. And it's just a huge amount of central grab to be given over.
And nades are going to go out as well, but it's going to be Doodle picks up Acid. That is Diffuser down and off the board. And Factor's managed to find his way back into sight, but Adam will farm him out. And there goes Factor. It's going to be a 3v2 now, but Luminosity have a lot of that vertical control, and they know where this Diffuser is indeed. Down Rexon almost gets caught out, but to be England's nice nade from below that does find Doodle. This is all now for Rexon to try and do. He finds one onto Vandal. That's that front door control going back into the defender's favor. As from above, Rexon should be able to find another one. There we go. Diffuser is down. Another Legion Mine is going to go down as well to give him a little bit of favor here. And it is going to detonate. Adam taking so much damage from that. He's going to be forced to pull it out. 30 seconds left to go on the clock. Adam is alone. And both of them are such low HP right now. Adam's going to try and move his drone up. But Rexon's going to take it down. And Adam's going to have a good idea about where this is coming through. But Rexon! Oh, he runs into another Legion Mine. And there we go. Adam will go down. That is unfortunate. As Luminosity will put their first map on the board.
What did I say about Legion on that point? What did I say about Legion being
Definitely
good and important on that point? My God, what a play, what a clutch, what a moment for Luminosity from a game that was back and forth. They took 3 in a row. However, it's a best of 3.